Young and Beautiful by Velvetoscar on AO3. Chapter 1 Prologue. The room is far too elaborately furnished, smells of polish, and nearly glows in the afternoon light. It's essentially an advert for a home and gardening network. It's gorgeous, sure, with its honeywood floors and cream-colored walls, picturesque windows peppering every room, and the plushest and the most ornate furniture clustered in the most artful patterns. It's luxurious and posh, and Louis absolutely detests it. Not because it isn't nice, he's not an idiot, but because of what it is, what it means. Here he is, having maintained a perfectly tediously normal and economically responsible life without his father's money. And now, as per the agreement struck between mother and father, dearest in that nasty bit of divorce some years past, the latter had taken to insist that Louis attend the most awkwardly prestigious university England has to offer. No pressure, of course. Still better yet, father dearest didn't even spring for a single. He insisted upon forcing Louis into one of the overly compensating deluxe suites, the one that required a flatmate. So, not only is Louis being forced to enter a school completely out of his realm of expertise, because he was quite the social butterfly in the natural world, had a knack for making too many friends, if anything. He is now contractually obligated to share his space with some pretentious poet who shits money and plays a pretty game of thinly veiled superiority. No, he hasn't met said flatmate yet, and no, he doesn't need to in order to form judgment. Louis has never been equipped to handle these situations with much grace. His mother always said his fiery tongue would be his downfall, were he not able to keep it in check. And keeping it in check is just something Louis does not do. With a plonk that seems at odds with a fine setting, Louis drops his armful of bags and bits, sighing dramatically as he surveys his surroundings. Feeling a bit poetic, he sashays to the window, peering out at the ancient building entwined with ivy, settled in the vibrant green grass before his room. His room sits on the ground, he once again notes with distaste. His windows are incredibly low set, providing easy entry for any entitled shit-faced intruder to hop in without any difficulty whatsoever. One could quite literally just throw a leg over and they'd be inside his flat, which is just excellent. Not that Louis possesses anything these little Midas-ish would want, excluding impeccable style, grace, and a full personality, not to mention morals and a solid work ethic. Well, mostly solid. Oh my god, comes the stunned voice from the door, and Louis turns to see his mum gaping at their surroundings, eyes scrambling to take it all in. I know, it's a bit much, isn't it? Louis remarks offhandedly, hands in pocket. It's something, she breathes in a low tone, and Louis doesn't miss the bitterness that lies just below the surface. Your father certainly has a knack for the most showy of choices when it involves public perception. Louis quirks an eyebrow. Yes, Charles does, doesn't he? He replies delicately, placing special emphasis on the name. He's never been particularly comfortable with the term father. With one last unimpressed glance out the window, he sighs and saunters forward. Come on then, let's just get all in here. His mum nods, still gaping with narrowed eyes, before following him out the door. His mum left, after they'd hauled box after box into Louis' new abode, the murky cardboard contrasting against gilt picture frames and varnished ebony that had absolutely no place in a 21st century suit at school. Seriously, why the fuck was everything gold? It's uni, not Versailles. I'll see you soon, his mother asked before she exited, voice tittering on the brick of frailty. Louis nodded, doing his best to resist rolling his eyes in pained exaggeration. He was a good person, he really was, opened doors for little old ladies and all that, but his mother had a penchant for weakness and self-indulgent distractions, something he nor his sister could ever really afford. Course, Mum, I'll be back before you know it. One morning, you'll just wake up and I'll be there, sitting at the table and demanding brekkie. Or I could visit you, she uttered with childish hope. Mum, Louis sighed, lacing his words with faint patience. I'll let you know. The term hasn't even started, all right? She nodded, sad eyes gazing into his imploring. Right, time to go. Without transition, Louis wrapped impatient arms around his mother. Thank you again for everything. Goodbye, love you. He pressed a stiff kiss to her cheek. Tell the girls I'll miss them, but only sometimes. Ban them from my room and keep an eye out, alright? Don't forget about them. She nodded. I still sad. I won't. Goodbye, Boo. I'll miss you, my darling. Best get going. Time is money, was his response, sung in an overly cheaper tone. He watched her leave for only a moment before turning to the task at hand. Mind still settled in the suitcases that littered the shining floors. So now Louis is alone, faced with duct tape boxes, showy walls that mock him, and his non designer shoes. No flatmate yet, and a very real sense of drowning. Well, he mumbles, sniffing, as he surfaces his luxurious surroundings with hopelessness. I suppose this is where it all begins.